Shalom, hi, it's Sister Only Love Chica from Prophetic Whirlwind, Uncovering the Black Biblical Destiny. Today I want to talk about a very notable sister from the continent of Africa, from the Congo to be exact, who in the 1700s preached that Yeshua was black and that his mother was black and that the people of the Congo were the people of the Bible. Her name is Kimpa Vita. Kimpa Vita. She was a woman who preached that the kingdom of Yah was going to come to the Congo. And she did this while the Catholics were tearing down Congo's sacred houses, while the Catholics were colonizing the people, converting them. But what many don't know is that the king of the Congo, about 100 years before her, actually accepted Yeshua, not because of slavery or colonialism, but because he wanted to. And so there are actually some enslaved Congolese people who were brought to the New World already believing in Yeshua, not because they were brainwashed, but because they wanted to. Many think that this is a new thing, people in Africa declaring that they're Hebrews. But again, this sister lived in the 1700s. And among her people, she had a special role. She was considered an Nganga Miranda, which was someone who was like a priest for the people. And when the people were in trouble, these particular priests among the Congo would help solve the collective problems of the people. They were different from the Congo traditional priests that solved the individual problems of the people. So in the Congo, traditionally, they had priests that dealt with the individuals, and they had priests that dealt with the community. And even when we look at Levites, there were different levels of Levites. There were Levites in the towns outside of Jerusalem that were going house to house ministering to people. And then there was the Cohen that on the Day of Atonement on Yom Kippur went in and, offered the sacrifice for everyone. So she was one of the priests or priestesses that helped the people solve their problems. And so she began to preach, again, that they were the people of the book, that Yeshua was black, that Mary was black. Imagine this African Congolese woman in the 1700s preaching this message around the countryside, centering her people, our people, in the scriptural story. Again, this is not new, but many times when brothers and sisters from Africa and even people like Prophet William Crowdy from America in the 1800s would say that we were the biblical Hebrews, it would be ignored. Unfortunately for this sister, she was killed, and when she was killed, they ground her bones to a powder. That is how dangerous the message of who the true Hebrews is. They grounded her bones to a powder to try to get rid of her. But over the past few years, people have been uncovering her because she was indeed a prophetess. She was saying what many of us are saying now, hundreds of years ago. And when you look at many of the Bantu languages spoken in the Congo, you see many Hebrew words. So some may try to call her Catholic, some may try to say, oh, she was just a crazy woman. But actually, now the proof is coming out that many of the people in the Congo are actually Hebrews. And this was a sister doing this work when many of our people were being taught a false gospel. She was trying to teach her people the true good news of the word of Yah. Because some say identity doesn't matter, but if identity didn't matter, then why were the colors of the people changed? And so I just want to say her name, Kimpa Vita. And I want us to say her name, to remember her, to read about her, Google her, teach your kids, especially your young girls, about her. Right now, there are so many Congolese immigrants in America. My old roommate, Barbara, used to work with them as a sister from Tanzania. And we hear about all types of refugees. We hear about refugees from the Middle East. And we should welcome all the strangers and the refugees among us as believers. But how come no one ever talks to you about the Congolese refugees that are being dumped in hoods all around America to fend for themselves? And they've been raped, they've been traumatized. The Congo has been under attack. Even with King Leopold, what many people don't know is, yes, there were small numbers of Congo people taken into slavery. But what many people don't know is that actually there were basically rubber plantations in the Congo. So there were some of our Hebrew family that were enslaved, living in the same conditions we did here, but maybe being able to keep their language and keep their customs, but they were on their own land. And that's a whole nother level of trauma. Yes, it's traumatizing to be taken from your land, but imagine someone sets up a plantation on your land and they make you work it. And if you didn't turn in that rubber for King Leopold, you were getting limbs cut off. So sometimes we think Deuteronomy 28 only happened in America or the Caribbean and Latin America. No, it happened right in Africa as well. She was a woman of faith, of truth, and of theology. This is a quote from her that I think sums up having a sincere faith in Yah, because it's really not just about keeping the commandments, getting immersed, wearing the fringes, but you're not really connected to Yah. This is a quote from Kipa. Yah wants intention. It is the intention that Yah grasps. Immersion serves nothing. It is the intent that Yah takes. Confession serves nothing. It is the intention that Yah wants. Good works serve no purpose. Intention is what Yah wants. And this quote basically means you can do all the right things, but if your heart is not right, Yah is not going to accept it. So even in teaching about Hebrew identity and the awakening, if our intention is hate and bitterness and just to be prideful, Yah's really not going to take it. When she was going around the countryside preaching for her people as someone that her people ordained to deal with their collective issues, she was not doing this because she was so fixated on the Portuguese Catholics and she hated them. She was doing this out of a love for her people. And so even as we share this information, what is your intention? Your intention should be more focused on your people than on hating someone else, because our enemies will be dealt with. And even how they killed her and grinded up her bones will be dealt with. Yah is not slack in taking care of his children. So she was definitely captured. She was killed, and they ground her body to dust. And many of the people who followed her, if not all of them, wound up captured by the king's forces and sold into slavery. The majority of these were transported in slave ships across the Atlantic, some to Brazil, and others sent to America. So these were her followers, people that knew Yeshua was black, Mary was black, the people in the Bible were black. They knew that they were the people of the Bible. And get this, when they killed her, they captured those people and they sold those people into transatlantic slavery. So that means there were people on slave ships who knew Yeshua, who knew his color, and who knew they were the people of the book. So don't let anyone tell you that it's only because of Europeans that we knew this. If you read up on her, you will read what happened to her followers. They were sold into slavery, but they were sold into slavery already knowing the truth of their identity. We have never heard this black history. We have never heard this African history. And I know her message was powerful because they didn't just kill her. They had to grind her bones to dust. And they had to sell her followers all the way across the world, thinking that if they killed her body and got rid of even her flesh, and if they sold her followers into captivity, that the truth would go away. But guess what? All these hundreds of years later, the ancestors of her followers who were sold away to Brazil and to America are now waking up, And we're proclaiming the same truth that Kempa proclaimed all those hundreds of years ago. Because they can kill the body, but they can never kill the prophetic word of Yah. They can sell us away, but no one can stop Yah's truth from coming forth. If it doesn't come forth in your generation, it will come forth even in your great-grandchildren. And so I wanted to lift up this sister, Kempa Vita, Kimpavita. Google her, read books about her. Don't get thrown off when they refer to her as a Catholic, when her preaching was going against the Catholic Church. You know, they put a lot of words and they tell stories a lot of different ways so that you will just shut down and not investigate. But you got to have the wisdom that the Ruach HaKodesh gives you to read between the lines. She wasn't following the Pope. She was following Yah. That's how she got to see who the people were and who she was. And so again, say her name, Kempa Vita, the Congolese prophetess who preached the truth of who the people of the book were. Shalom.